Good. Okay. Maybe we'll turn on these and put on the other lights. Put on the other one. I should send them the kleiner. Maybe put on the yellow ones for now. Yeah. Lighter this one. What do they do? Okay. I'm sending out there, but the shing it to there. Yeah, so we're gonna do. All right, Heather. Welcome, everybody. So, well, it's really good to be here, be in the space, be in a place of the phones are off, by the way. Turn off your phones. So last week we had an Al-Shir last week. It was the first time, like officially. Just wanted to, the week before that, I had like a machshuva at the Kenzan, that if I'm not going to give you a check and stuff, obviously.
You don't want to check it, Moshe.
Fine, we got to talk. Let's set something up. Okay, make it happen. Now the summer is finished, we'll get into the unit.
Which?
Okay. So last week we didn't have a shir. So we have to understand something is that, let's be real over here. Nobody here can have access for a couple of hours and sit and learn. There's an Indian of Kavai Itim L'Torah. It's Torah is the key to everything. What it means that Torah is the key to everything is that it's a ladder. It's the way you climb. Now, the world is like this. It's a circle. It's a spiral. It starts from here. It goes. Let's just say there's many different ways to look at it. Let's just say for tonight we're going to look at it this way. It's a spiral. The spiral, it's a train track. How are you? So, welcome. If just you have a phone, just you can shut off the phone. Okay. Thank you. So, it's a spiral. It's a train track, and your story, your life is the track you're on. Okay, so there is unlimited tracks. It's Ein Sof tracks. There's endless combinations of tracks. Whoever lights a candle is responsible to take it. Then you can't put it out, drive home with it. That's what I do. So We can't put it out anymore. They're getting upset. Okay. So, jeder einer kommt herab, you come down here and you are going on a spin. Okay? It's your story. Now, once the wheels are locked on the track, you're locked in. It's very hard to change. That's where Hasidus comes in and tells us something called the Skafi and the Sapta. It's the codes that the Baal Shem Tov gave us, and the Alter Rebbe, all Hasidus Yisurim. But the Peshat and Chabad Hasidus Yisurim is the Skafi and the Sapta, so I can't say Koch of them, because it's more moichendik, it's not emotion, it's the Skafi, which is holding back. I'm careful using the word breaking, but it's breaking yourself. Okay, it's breaking. It's saying it's breaking. It's controlling. Whatever you want to say. Or sometimes to control, I have to break. I really want this. I really want it. Break. I say no. Once you break, you are stopping yourself from the track. You're getting off the track. Okay. Now, a lot of us are doing very deep work. Mindfulness. It's powerful stuff. That's what we're going to get into. In this work, now you're having a breakthrough. You're having an isgalus. You're having a moment of breaking yourself. But there's still, what are you replacing it with? What's taking place in the place of that? If you're not going to replace it with anything, eventually you're going to get back onto your track because the train is moving. You need to go somewhere. And if you're not creating a new track, then you're going to go back to your old self. The famous mashal that somebody once used is if you have a garbage can in the house and you were saying from now on there's no more garbage here. Nobody put garbage in this can. Garbage goes over there. You empty out the garbage can, you leave the garbage can there. If you do not put books in there, if you don't put food in there or something else, eventually somebody's going to forget to throw a tissue in there, and then before you know it, it's back in the garbage. Okay, and literally, this is what we're dealing with. You have to replace it with something. Once you're going through a moment of iskafia, you have to do a sapcha. You have to replace that with something else. Once you replace it with something else, you're creating a new train track. You're creating a new mahalach where you can go. Now, there's many levels. There's many different ways of aligning yourself of avodah. So, for those who can sit and learn Torah for hours every day, that's their way. That still doesn't mean that there's bitter amidas. There's a whole different avodah than doing bitter amidas. There's probably the work that we are doing here is more aligned with bitter amidas than the guy that's sitting in koilel. He's learning. His midas have never been tested. I'm not just saying that I want you to change the optics on how you look at it. That if I'm sitting in koilel and it's Ozga idol, he's Ozga idol because he hasn't been exposed. It's like sitting in the sun, living in Florida versus coming to New York in the middle of February. It's a whole different Indian. You're going to be triggered. Everybody sitting over here is out there in the field and doing the work, and that calls for proper bitter amidas. You're being tested, your level of patience. You're being tested in your honesty. You're being tested with whatever other temptations that you're dealing with. If it's food, if it's other temptations. What other temptations? I don't want to use the word chayvus, like whatever it is, what it is. Other than this. Twice I wanted to say it, then I didn't. Because I want to be different. So now the part is that the work you are doing is creating new tracks in the world. It's creating new opportunity, new possibility in the world. We're coming here to the Shir, and sitting here, I want you to understand what you're doing to become more mindful, align yourself, and if not, just to be mindful about what's going on, that you're not just coming here to learn for a couple of hours and you're going home. You are creating new train tracks for the world. You're creating new train tracks for the world means for your world, because keep in mind something. You know, the train has many buses to it. It goes endless. A Yid is in the front bus. A Yid is the front bus, and a Yid is the one that lays down the tracks. A Befrat, a Yid that is aligned with working on the Midas, Halulus HaMidas. Not Halul, take that back. Halulus HaMidas, no. Bitter HaMidas. There's a big difference. Really, the difference is that Halulus HaMidas is avodah for tzaddikim that we don't have access to, and bitter HaMidas is an excuse for regular frontline fighters to do work on themselves, which we don't call it Halulus HaMidas. We'll call it the difference in a minute. Don't call it Halulus HaMidas. We'll call it bitter HaMidas. I can do Mavadar HaMidas. I can say no, but Halulus HaMidas means that I'm taking something and I'm being mala. So they can go into the pit of Chazarai when somebody when we go to them. It's there when a tzaddik doesn't have a machshava zara. His machshava zara what comes at him. So and he does a lure from it. So that's not for us. The Alter Rebbe says, don't be a shoyta. Don't be a shoyta to think that you can do this work. It says in Tanya that you can do a lure samidus, and he goes on, and it just really puts you down all the way that you're not at that level, because it's all avodah for tzaddikim. And then he finishes with one line: "Va'amach kulam tzaddikim." We're all tzaddikim. Okay, so. In the Chabad school, in the Chabad vessel, there's a lot of, nobody's nothing. Literally, nobody's nothing. You can be the biggest mashpia, and, Kol Terikila, they're like, this is how it goes. It's like, it's like a question talk, it's like it's a mahalach. This is how we do it over there. This is how it's done. Over here, it's the opposite. We come to a simcha, ma'apniyanim oserim, and the God salavai, you tell them how good it was. In Chabad, there's no talking. By the funeral, there's absolute silence. Come to a wedding, there's no mitzvah dance. You really don't matter. Nothing. And mamash, even when you're in the ground, you still don't matter. They're going to say, I've heard about you, but that's it. And you're not getting more than that. So, you can see clearly that, what does it mean? It's a different level. It's a different level of work. There's the Chabad consciousness, which is really, kind of like being in Moichin, being in the head all day, which they never change that regardless. You put the work into Olam Asiyah. And then there is the avodah of the Midas, Chesed, out there, bringing, doing. You can also see clearly, let's say, by the Hasidim, by Williamsburg Bar Park, there is a lot of doing out there, Bikur Cholim and all that, Chasidim, Chesed. But you won't find a stranger by a Shabbos table. Your door, alles business Steve. Iberschluf, Veritas, Weisz, you're an exception. But I'm saying, like, the side that is that there is no real guest by the Shabbos table, strangers. I mean, if you have what's your uncle, it's your nephew. In Chabad, there's not much of the Kecholim, but you won't find a Shabbos table without some guy from somewhere with green pants and red hair sitting or whatever it is. This is what it is. I'm using that much so you understand. There's outreach. That's what it automatically looks like that. Every Chabad house has from all over the world, backpackers and all that stuff. So what does that show? What does that mean? What does it mean? Now that we're looking at everything in the positive, we're looking at everything in the flow, what does it tell us? The texture, what's going on? One is this way, from bringing in from Maila Mata, and the one is from Mata Maila, to bring it from bottom up. So is the obligation and the responsibility of each and every one of us over here to first to recognize what the job is, what it is that you're doing over here. That it's not just that we're coming here to sit and learn. When you're sitting and learn, you're learning 2 hours a week, it's beautiful, but what are you really doing? More than that, you're building new train tracks. You're building new possibilities for when you go out there to be an example of what's possible, take out the word example. Example is Shvachavad. It's not an example. You are literally laying down the tracks. Let's talk about the simple stuff. If you conduct yourself, let's just use the biggest trigger. When you go to the airport, the way it's done, right? A certain carelessness, a certain willkeit, a certain authority, like ich kann nicht do, ich kann nicht dit and that, and showing up late, throwing stuff on the floor. There's a certain, you have to conduct yourself with a certain panemius, a certain mindfulness, a certain consciousness. Now that you're more present, there's a certain level of consciousness that a responsibility that you carry. And with that, you're opening up the possibility for more positive consciousness, more flow to come into Welt. So by coming into a container, a vessel where you check in for an hour or 2 or 3, whatever time it is, to be present, to become mindful, to feel. If you don't understand what we're talking about, is to feel. What are you feeling now? What are you experiencing when you're sitting in a place of when you're not out there, where you're being triggered and you're being pulled and you're being pushed? What are you experiencing? What are you feeling? And take that and bring that into tomorrow and the next day. So we're going to go into, we benched the Chodesh Elul. Chodesh Elul for, let's just say like this, I don't know about the new generation, but this generation, I think I'm pretty connected to the new generation also. Yeah, the same thing. Chodesh Elul is a horror, was a nightmare where we come from. It's a nightmare. There is there's pressure, there is stress, there's a zorkai, there's a bitterkeit, there is a just no clue what they want. Have no clue what's going on. Eder Rosh Hashanah, getting up early, people pushing, then going into Kapuras, Yom Kippur, and then it's just a lot of pain, a lot of pressure. Nobody understands what's going on. The fish and Wasser zitten, all that stuff. So then it was revealed to me that Chodesh Elul is one of the most beautiful times that we have in our consciousness. Where it's the most powerful time. The energy is soft. It's full of love. It's full of acceptance. It's a time where Yid Gimel Midas Harachman are activated. Yid Gimel Midas Harachman there are 2 types of Yid Gimel Midas Harachman. There is one that by the Cheta Egel. Cheta Egel was let's just understand what the Egel was. Egel was the Eibishter came down on the Har Sinai. He gave us the Torah. And 40 days later, it's a whole, I think we did it once, but it's a whole spiel. Basically, Moshe Rabbeinu took out the Erev from Mitzrayim with him. Why did he take out the Erev from Mitzrayim with him? Because he grew up in the house of Parah. He learned everything he knew was from Parah. All their tricks of the trade, the kishuf, whatever they were doing. Listen carefully; it's the stuff they don't tell you in Chaydit. He learned everything from there. Mitzrayim, they were the power of the world back then. So back then, if you knew how to do be machashiv, you were the zach. If you were able to hold. Now, when he left, he was koyach ma. He was the tremendous amount of gratitude and bittul. And these chaver, when they saw what Moshe is performing, all the Asher Makis, they didn't look at it. They didn't understand it that he's talking to an Eibishter. They're like, it's another koyach. We have one, and he's the master of the masters. Edge mastered the thing, the chachma. Don't think it was that easy when we were in the midbar, and Moshe performed all these miracles and all that. They thought that, okay, it's just a starke Rebbe. That's why when they came to him, no, give me the water, give me the water. They like, who's water? Ich bring ich kein Wasser. Ich darf treffen am Stein. I'm looking for the rock. So they told him, hit any rock. What are you playing games with us? If it's day, Stein, Jener Stein, let's get hit Jener Stein, there was water. Hit this rock, there will be water. And that's why he got angry with them, and he's like, me? What are you talking about? Me? I'm just a vessel. So he brought out these chaver, and he was sustaining them, the Erev Rav, so to speak. The Zohar gets into it in the whole thing. So, and when I say the whole thing is like that it's a beautiful thing. I think we did it once, but that week we did it. So just forget the concept of it. He was their lifeline. He gave them. He was every time. It's Sigven's own project. Let's just put it this way. There was the Yidden, there was Admakoi, and there was all that. And then he used to go out and hang out Lyle Shishi with them to give them the Tzebrach and the Yidden, to give them some chizik. They were they were not in the Nana Yaakov. What does that mean? Just to give it context, just like today. There are some chevra that are in the Nana Yaakov, and then some that are just not. Your next door neighbor can umabur and pais and nicht in the Nana Yaakov. When they're saying high consciousness about being a mensch, not chopping what's not yours, not having remorse. We're not talking about if you do an avera, God forbid. It is we're processing stuff. Nobody here is judging your level of tzidkas, but just to be in tune, to feel, I did something wrong. Some people are disconnected. It's not possible for them to feel. They're not on the Anana Yaakov. They're out. There's Anana Yaakov now also. There's the feeling, checking in before Yom Tov and getting raw and putting yourself out there like, hey, I'm weak and I'm failing. That's you're in it. You're feeling. You're working with Shechina. What do you mean you're feeling? When you're feeling a level of guilt, not sadness, but truly like, okay, I'm not aligned. I want more. I have a desire. I'm not feeling good. That is, you are plugged in. You're dealing with Shechina. You're dealing with fire. And it's clearly fire because you can take that fire and ground it into Bahim Rabba, or you can take that fire and come to a place where people get together not to talk about other people, but to talk about themselves. So when he went up to the Har Sinai, he went up to Shemaim, and after 40 days, these guys, after 35 days, 36, 37, they started feeling like a guy that needs a cigarette after 6 hours. Okay, they started bugging out. Like, no, visa. I get ahead. What does that mean? We're dealing with a top level machashrim over here. We're dealing with Chaver. They needed chiyah, so nobody was giving them anything. They were not getting anything because they were like out. Okay? I mean, you can see clearly what they were used for. By the way, every time there was a Magef in the Torah, every time, every time there was a Charon Af, and she given a Magay face, and she given him B'nai Yisrael. Kaimelnish. Never. Ayid doesn't lose himself. You know exactly where it's at. I'll tell you what today. Shav, one second. Relax. Patience. The Eid of Raf were Egyptians that were Magaya. They had sparks in them that were clearly something. That's why Moshe took them out. But they were not fully. They converted because he was, let's just say it like this, that party seemed to be more powerful at the time. Just like the right and the left, this made more sense to them. They were able to, not just more sense, literally able to draw more chiyas from that side. Right, party was over and they saw this, so they went there and they were able to be yearning from it. But now that he wasn't there anymore, they were suffocating, and they started acting up. Shaivat Shimon, we did this a few weeks ago. Shaivat Shimon also, when there was the Magayf and Shaivat Shimon, listen also to this, also not from B'nai Yisrael. The Zohar says this, that parsha. What happened was that Shaivat Shimon married with these Chaver, and this is the offspring from the Erev Rav, and that too said the Eibishter, these Chaver can't come into Israel. We got to clean that out too. So there was a cleanup over there. 24,000 from them died. There's a ganze Spiel. Yes, and also Zimri, what is that? Then we came to the taking. Zimri Masuli is the only one. The biggest thing was that Zimri Masuli wasn't supposed to be killed by Pinchas because he was doing a job. He wasn't. Let's just understand something. You're dealing here with a prince from a Shevet. Well, you know what a prince of a Shevet is? Okay, good. A prince of a Shevet is there is the main supplier, the main line of supply, which is nuclear energy, which is if you touch that, you get zapped. It's too much. You ever had a process where it was too much? You did breath work, it was too much. Okay, whatever it was, you haven't really worked with the right people. So sometimes it gets too much. Okay, sometimes it gets too much. The prince was the guy. He was the conduit. He was like the Rebbe, but we're talking about here people that ate mun. They didn't really eat food for 40 years. They ate mun. Mun was a little touch on the tongue, and they were. The Alter Rebbe talks about it. The Zohar talks about it. It wasn't really food. The tzaddikim, they didn't. It was just. It was like one concentrated piece, one concentrated, like a grain of salt. That was it. They didn't need. That was the whole spiel. One, I didn't want to say it, but I don't want to take it out of context. But yes, type of thing. Lav, not that, but something like it was food from the heaven. One drop. And they were able to sit with that, mindful, just the way sometimes you're able to, if you smoke and drink coffee, you don't eat till 4 or 5 o'clock. It just carries you, and you're working. It keeps you going. The same thing with that. One tab of salt, and they were sitting in Dveikus all day, and that's why it's called Vayancha Vayarevecha. It says the Rebbe, I'm sure other add the same thing. What do I mean? It says that the man, the Eibishter Moshe says the Eibishter gave you the man, and he Vayancha at the geplukt, Vayarevecha, and he starved you. So as the Rebbe, what do you mean Vayancha Vayarevecha? Man had given ashiras. Was it kan zijn aniyas in the bread of the man? So the answer is that the man was something that only came once a day, in the morning, and that's it. The rest of the day till tomorrow you were fasting. What? Finished. Yeah. I think I said it Friday or something. All right. So now, a prince was somebody that was channeling massive oiras. He didn't make a. What do you think he had a keva and a kaiva got him going? They were sitting in all day. They were sitting with completely detached from Vil. Let me give you the picture. They were sitting in a little cloud, in a cloud, surrounded in this white cloud, and they had the Adon inside over there, which was a communication straight from the highest, from Eibishter himself. They were talking. They had Moshe, which was connected. They had the Shivim Zekanim. They had everybody there was there. These guys were fully open, fully connected, open vessels, eating high conscious food. And they kept moving, and then they had they didn't eat, and they had the Mishkan. They had the Mishkan and the Ketoides and the Mizbeach, which was like a chimney that kept just smoke coming up. That was the muffler, the chimney going out, and that's all they were doing. What happened is that we did this already. What happened is that when Sichon called for Bilam to come and curse the Eden. I'm sorry, Bullock. Bullock called to Bilam to take care of business because these guys are too strong. So he came and he said, "Listen, you can't curse them. You can't curse these because they're too powerful. They have something called achdus. They're able to come and hold together, and they also have tznius. They have separation. In the corner over there, I see a weakness over there. Over there, we can penetrate. These guys were doing war a different way. The same way you look today, where's the weak point? Where's the weak point, the weak spot of this country? So too, they were looking back then energetically. What's the weak spot? Where can we enter into them? How can we break them? So B'ktzei Aham, what did they see? B'ktzei Aham, they saw these 24,000 that were from the Erev Rav's offspring. There, over in that corner, we can penetrate. Over there, we can do it. So what happened was is that they had this with a Zura called Baal Poed, which used to go to the bathroom over there. It's a process. And what happened was that the Shevet Shimon, what they did was is they were making fun of them. So and they used to send it over there, like go dump it over there. But they left a trace. And that trace came back at it. So Zimri Ben Suli, really what he was doing is, there's the same thing as what happened to Yehida, and same thing that happened to David HaMelech, is something was pulling him. The chet was coming after him. It kept coming to him. So he saw that it was Min HaShamayim, so he did it. It had to happen. Clearly it had to happen because these 24,000 had to go. They were under his battalion, under his wing, and they had to be cleaned out. So he followed what was coming at him. And so then when Pinchas killed him, they wanted to kill him, and Pinchas was going to go into Cherem. Cherem means that Menida forever, eternity, out, kill the prince, kill the channel from Ebershter. But because he nailed it in such a way, it's something that we have to get into a little meditation to really understand it. And it's not the topic for now, but just to give it food for thought. He nailed it. There was no negias in there, and he expressed a koyach of Eibishter exactly. He nailed it. He nailed an expression in Veld, which was like a staff planted into the ground. The same thing that Yosef did when he put his fingers into there. The same concept happened over here also. He brought Shulam into the Veld. So we'll be rid of that. So now back to the Erev Rav. So when Moshe didn't come, they made a mistake with 6 hours. Moshe Shesh, we're talking there about, and the Rebbe talks about it in Eicha also. A whole thing, it is Aksmidas. Bottom line is they were about to expire. They had no chiyas anymore. They needed the sustenance. So what they did is they created an egel. An egel is an illusion. They took a tashtichel, a smoiret, and they put in whatever gold and silver they put in, which was energy in there from whatever it was, and they gave it to Aaron HaKohen. If Aaron wouldn't have accepted it in his hands, says the Zohar a few times, he stresses it, and also in Chassidus, that if he wouldn't have accepted it in his hands, then the egel would have never been created. But if he would have told him, like, put it down, I'll take it, then the egel wouldn't have happened. Because he took it from them, it was able to do an egel. Now, this egel is an illusion. It's an illusion in front of your eyes. Like you can see, but you have a plastic in your eyes. We're still living in that plastic. It's an illusion. It's an illusion of the plastic over here shows up on Wall Street. You have the big bull. That's the illusion. It's the egg, the golden calf. It's the illusion of chasing a false dream. It's all shaky. So we are on the train track of this illusion. In order to break that illusion, or in order to break that train track, is by doing iskafi and isapka. How do we do that? Yid Gimel Midas Rachamim. There are two Yid Gimel Midas Rachamim. It's recording, yeah? There are two Yid Gimel Midas Rachamim. One, did I finish the Erev Rav or not? No. But I brought it down for, okay, fine. Huh? Yeah, I'm going in there. What? Who? You didn't? No. That's what I'm saying. It's complete. You're dealing here. Imagine for you to overcome, not to drink this right now. Okay, I won't drink it. Just a second. Nothing. They were not. Talk about high conscious people, like powerhouses, channeling light that, channeling the next level, complete surrender. There was no body. There was just different Dardea. They were processing. It was a Rebbe, it was a Tana, like whatever highest level. that we have access to today for a marshal. That's what we're dealing with, times that. Because there were dark days, they were in Das. He knew, they saw everything. There was no block, there was no temptation. And a kaiva, it was nothing to him. Couldn't overcome that. It wasn't. Even you can overcome it.
What's the outside of that?
The opposite guy. The opposite guy. Find it there. Yes? Yes, 220. Ja.
De 11 keer het misschien begeleid dat.
Gewoon is het. Okay, so now it's like this. So now, going into, so there's two types of Yidigim with the Sarachman. One is that Moshe brought down. What happened was that once this illusion was created, once this bubble was created, there was no, the Eibishter was going to kill everything. There was nobody to talk to. We were in a different, we were Papachka, it's like the ink has been cracked and everything got contaminated. And there was no way out. Moshe davened, he pushed, Chalas and Karuga, the Eibishter said, I'll make you for a nation. This is game over. Moshe pushed, he said, he's like, take me out. It's not, he did his job. He did what a proper leader was supposed to do. He was standing for his people all the way. That was his job. So the Eibishter showed himself in Yidigim Amid Sarachmon. The Eibishter revealed a level of mercy, of compassion, that is higher than anything, higher than everything. Hashem Klarachim B'chanan. There's two Yudkei Vovkes. One is the Atzmis of Hu Shmoi Echad, not getting into details with that. And then the other one is the one that shows up. This Yudkei Vovke is what power generates everything else is being generated from Yudkei Vovke. Okay? So he revealed himself in a Yudgim Masrachman in a tremendous way of compassion that is able to override everything. Any type of contamination, any type of wrongdoing, any type of stuckness that you are in or at, this goes in, it takes you into a level that is higher than that. And in other words, let's say $1,000, a loss of $1,000 is a lot. Next, for somebody that makes more money, it's little, $1 million, $2 million. But the guy that's a billionaire spends $1 million in gas. I mean, it's not a big deal. So too with this, it takes you into a whole different level that was revealed. That's one he's given with the Sarachman. The second he's given with the Sarachman is from Micha, which is Mikael Kamocha, which we say by Tashlich. Now, the last time we spoke about it, I actually said that Moshe's Yidigim and Sarachman were high up there, and Micha's Yidigim and Sarachman were more favelt, and it's the opposite way, the other way around. I actually saw it today in the Alter Rebbe Siddur. The other way around. Moshe's Yidigim and Sarachman was for Velt, and Micha's Yidigim and Sarachman was for Neshama, higher up. Okay, just to put it out there. Now, Chodesh Elul, which is going to be this week, Shabbos and Sunday, yeah? Shabbos and Sunday, I think, is a time, I want you to visualize this as follows. There is something called a parsa. A parsa is a firang, the separation. It's a separation. Let's just say there's a mechitza between the women's section and the men's section. So you can have a mechitza like this, right? There's some fancy mechitzas you can see through. Then you have a mechitza like this, which is blood. And then you can have layer until you can't see anything. Right? Completely blocked. This is how we live throughout the year. We're completely blocked. Sometimes it's, as Moshe says in Parashat Azinu, it's made out of copper. The separation is made out of copper. What that looks like, it may be a time in your life where you're completely stuck. It's hard. Nothing is going. You can't find love. You can't express. You don't even know what's going. The wife, the kids, everything is a complete confusion. You're hitting a wall. It's a tremendous amount of pain. That can be a level of a mesech, a mavdil, that's made out of nechoshes. Sometimes it can be made out of zav. Chasing, you have all the money in the world, and you can't ground yourself. And there's all types, all different levels of separation. It can be a separation of where they judge you. All the labels today, OCD, bipolar, all types of nonsense. It's all energetic blocks, really. Chodesh Elul is a time where Yid Gimel Midas Rachman is being revealed. What that means is that the separation of Kappa, Nechoshes, Kesev, all types of situations that we were put into to give this a bitter, because we are in an illusion from Chet HaEgel, the message is becoming more translucent. It's becoming more see-through. Why is it becoming more see-through? Because a higher level consciousness is being revealed. A level of Yid Gimel Midas Rachman. The highest level of mercy comes in, and when this lands in Welt, everything is all of a sudden, it's almost can see through. The Nechoshes is not so hard anymore. You can start seeing through that, and the Kesev is becoming a little bit bitter in your mouth. So on and so forth. You're able to start finding yourself. That happens, Chodesh Elul, going through the whole month of Elul. The Alter Rebbe actually asked the question why the whole Yont of Elul should be a Yontif. It's that level of revelation. It's a Melech Basada. The king is in the field. What that means, the king is in the field, is that he comes. Usually, you have to find him in his palace. You have to go do different things. I have to daven. I have to eat mindful. I have to all types of stuff to have a moment of clarity, a moment of connection. And Chodesh Elul he's in the field. You can find him anywhere, anytime, anything. It's right there. We have to put in the work throughout Elul, through Silasata. We do the chayker, we do the plowing the field, and in Tishrei is when it's a Silasata Elul. Going to Yom Kippur, we're going to Kodesh Kodeshim, and then we're going to Sukkot, we're going to the Makifim, we're going to this little Hechel that we are mamash in the Hechel with the Melech. So, getting off the tracks that you've been running on throughout the year, getting off the tracks of whatever projections you put on yourself about who you are, whatever projections you were put on, whatever train you were put on. Remember, you're on the first train, you're in the first bus, and you are laying down the tracks. Whatever you put down is what's going to happen. Now, this may be a little disappointing to some, because now the responsibility is on you, and it's on nobody else. It's the famous, the first thing that people do is that we always do. We create a profile. I went to the listen. I went to this, but I like that. But over here, it's not. Here is so good. Here is like that. But here he said this, and I'm insulted. It's all good. You can find all types of projections and all types of new tracks that you want to lay down for your train to run on. But it's your train, and whatever tracks you plant, those are the tracks your train is going to be riding on. So if you want to change course, you are a Yid. You have Das. You have Bechira, choice. Choice is not if I should do this or not do this. That's child's play. That's really playing childish. Should I spill the milk or not spill the milk? Choice is, what are you going to create today? What are you going to build today? What are you going to create for others that don't have this level of commitment, strength, and weren't as lucky as you to be able to find yourself like this? So it's on you to start creating for others. It's for you to go out there and start showing what life is supposed to look like, how you're supposed to conduct yourself, being a mensch, being, in love, compassion for self, for your wife, for your children, and of course, make a lot of money, whatever it is, but to really be mindful. So that should start you off with Chodesh Elul. Now we're going to do a little piece of Tanya. Any cool? Yeah. Yes. So he's always here. He's everywhere. But throughout the year, we see him through different masuchim mavdilim, different passes, different separations. I can see him through. I have to work very hard all week in order for me to have a moment of Shabbos where I'm just like grateful that I can just sit and be with myself and be with my family. I have to find him through being in an argument with A, B, C, and D, and then, finding, okay, it's me going through a process, processing yourself. After a month, you're like, okay, thank God, Baruch Hashem, now I see that it was good. Because we are here to do a job. There's Chazarah involved, and our light is here to open up a way through the Chazarah, through different blockages, through different disturbances to get through it. Chodesh Elul is where he comes in and he turns up the heat. It's like turning the stove on, turning up the flame, and the water's starting to bubble. Now you can see clearly what's going on. The water is cooking, and you see there's no block. There's nothing in the way.
When you try to put it in noise, what that means, and start giving. That you're deciding to say that give, right? That means raising me.
Yeah.
The person giving out naturally.
You're asking or you're saying?
That
yes. Saying you feeling it naturally. Yes, it's in the air. Feel it. Yeah, so that's why we want to. So what happens is as follows: the way if I don't have enough love for myself, and I can't, then when this love comes down, it looks like imagine an old school, the last generation, giving your father a hug. Give your father a hug. Exactly. What would happen if you give him a hug? He'd be like, whoa, can't even like okay, good, okay. Yeah. So when Chodesh Elul, when this love comes into the Welt, if I can't banem myself, if I don't have compassion for myself, what that looks like, it's as if like you trying to give your father a hug, or your father giving your mother a hug in front of you, or not even in front of you. So that's what Chodesh Elul looks like by the Hasidim, where the Eibshter comes and wants to give us a hug, but I don't know how to deal with it. So what it does is the fish in the Wasser sitzen and warten zu stoßen and kicking starben, reader to him, because they don't know how to accept this love, because it's gulas. We don't know how to accept it. But now that you're going to train to change that outcome, again, this is not happening in Chabad. Over there, it's fully love. I mean, they're starting to dance on the street, starting from Motzei Shabbos. There's like a shuk over there, right? So it's a different energy. But and also, I'm not labeling anything. I'm just stating the fact. That's it. Now, now that you're going to change, that you're changing, you're able to start accepting. We are able to start accepting myself from a place of love. How so? Even by checking in to the fact that I don't want to do things that are hurting me. I feel a certain feeling when I do something that's not right. I don't feel good about it. That is me starting to love myself. Me not going on whatever, whatever temptations you have and saying no to it is a level of you starting to love yourself. To say, like, I don't want to do this because this is going to hurt me. This hurts me. So that means that you're more inclined, acclimated, you're more aligned with the energy that's coming in the Chodesh Elul, so you won't have the resistance and really see the softness and see what's going on. And try it. It's a different energy. A different energy coming out from Tammuz, from that where the heat was up, the 3 Wochen, the 9 days, and all that good stuff. This is should be able to tune into it.
Right now, ongoing.
Mamat? Biz. Yeah, rather. No, on the contrary, but already Binyan Besamikdash. Yeah, Yid don't have tubo. I mean, no, that's it. All right, so let's do a little piece of Mikal Kamarta. Nice the Fesha. Okay. והנה, אף שגיל הזה על דה עסק התוירה והמצווה ישוב לכל נפש מישראל בדרך כלל, כתוירה אחס המשפט אחס לכלל, and at first I'm doing it on, you can still dream out there. והנה, אף שגיל הזה על דה עסק התוירה והמצווה ישוב לכל נפש מישראל בדרך כלל, כתוירה אחס המשפט, I'm doing a stickle Tanya, today's Tanya, it's not printed. Yeah. כתוירה אחס המשפט echt לכלנו, אף הפיקן, aber bekannt bei der Prat, ein kann vor sich zurück dann schon was bei ihnen selber. Die ist mal gegillt mit Boen bei mal sagen. Mama Razal. Und wir bei mir haben so fine. So the author is saying it like this, that even though it's bederach klal, the Torah mitzvahs is equal to each and every one, because there's one Torah, you have to do all the mitzvahs. Everybody has to do all the mitzvahs. And it's not like I have to do this, you have to do that. However, every time you come back into the world, you keep recycling. There's different parts of, there's something else that you need to do a tikkun, something else you need to do a bitter. And there's different mitzvahs that you are specifically need to be more nizer in that. Just like it brings down a minor, Kamar Marzal, they asked him, dan taten met wusser er gewen meer zo. Maar dan moet ik mitzvah sitters. Because the mitzvah sitters, there's a stronger isgalus of Elakis, and therefore he was more zar in that. So we see from that there's such a concept of certain mitzvahs that are more closer to you. You have to do all of them, but there's certain things that is your thing. That means that's your tikkun. Degene een kala deure shaven. Each generation is different. Look, the level of chesed we have now didn't exist back then. It wasn't available. It wasn't possible. Just the way there's different body parts. The ear to hear and the eyes to see, to listen and to see. So too, in the mitzvah, there is the way the Eibusha shows up in Welt is through mitzvahs, which means that almost like you have, I guess you have these games that they light up, different body parts light up. You touch it, it lights up. Yeah? Touch it, it lights up. You know what I'm talking about? Anyways, imagine like a body part that you watch online. You want to see a body part, and certain parts are highlighted. Okay, you can press it, then it highlights. So too, there's 613 Ever de Malka. The way the Eibishter showed up in Welt is through the 613 mitzvahs. And the 7 mitzvahs of Rabbanan. So it's Trach, 620. Kesset. Now, 613, the Ramach Evrim, Shesar Gidden, there is 248 Evrim in the body. And Shesar Gidden, 365 Gidden, which is veins, Udin, whatever it is. We have the same amount of body parts as, not Eibishter, but the way he shows up in Welt. And these are, his Avrim are mitzvahs. His Avrim are mitzvahs. Every mitzvah is a different Avrim. And it's an energetic connection that aligns with our body, that when you do mitzvah sittas, you're connecting with that body part. When you're putting on film, you're connecting with the main line, a kavod, a massive download of light. Shabbos, Shmiras Abriz, there's certain, the 13 fundamentals, there is the main ones that bring down the massive light in the world. Now, as I said, as it's brought down, that doesn't mean, now every mitzvah, every aveda is just as intense. However, certain avedas you're cutting a small string, and certain avedas, certain ones, you cut a main line. You cut a main line, it's a main line. Shabbos is a main line. Film is a main line. Shmiras Abriz is a main line. That's bringing a lot of chazara into it. What else we have there? Okay, that's enough for one day. Okay, this is Weisz, yes. Yeah, exactly. Different. There's a different field though. Okay. Everybody here has to come down enough times to be mekam the ganze Torah. In other words, if right now you're not capable of knowing all the halachas of doing all the mitzvahs, you're probably at a huh? Go ahead. Okay.
Probably at it.
Okay. Mekom kan niet ela dof zide zide bij eerste zes weer terug gevonden met alles normaal zide sharm. Dus deze sharm of mij hebben zorg twee dagen. There's these mitzvahs you have to be twice as intense about it. Okay? Then the Yisran Oirazah Prot and Shamas Prot is any of the staan Badas. Now, these in Yonam are not Batam Badas music. Can't understand why it's like that. Now listen to this. He's not telling you here that you can't understand both Hecher and Hecher and Yonam. That's not the way Hasidus works. Everything has an explanation. We're not serving an Eibishter that's a dummy. It's Hecher Zachen. This is Gunish is Hecher. Alles is Teure Lebe Shemayim. So you gave him one for instance to understand. So the Alter Rebbe is when he tells you that the reason you have to come down and the reason these mitzvahs you have to do more and the Zohar Tvai is you can't understand this not because it's higher, it's Hecher and Yonim. It's just he's telling you how to process it. It's higher from Das, from something that you can understand. Shekach olav machshava lefanav yisbarach v'digmosei lamata hu b'chinas goydel mamish. There's something called Das, your level of understanding, but then there is something that's higher than Das. There's a part that you can't understand. Elamai, what is it? Just the way when you come to the shir sometimes and you don't understand, and you're told to just feel. And if you can't feel, just listen, tune in. The same thing, there is something more sensitive, more dakis, because the Das is just a program. It's a machine. It's a computer. And the same way you have every year coming out with new computers, with new levels of intelligence that the computer has. So too, the body is just it's an intelligence, but there's higher intelligence from that. So you got to keep pushing the envelope. Okay, that's Tanya for today. What's that? Okay. No, it doesn't seem. All right. Yeah. Yeah. First of all, Amarant is the Yutzat Given Hand. The Yoel, the Bani Yoel, Bachanani Yantiv Lipa. Yeah, this is the Satman Rebbe. Yutzat Hand. Second, Satman Rebbe is, I know there's a lot of, either got an opinion, or they got an opinion of him of it. So you're going outside, you say that. That's it. But that's the bottom line. Wow. Yes, that's the problem. I said it?
Yeah.
There was a flaw. It wasn't that. It was just what it was supposed to do. Okay. The next. So then we have sponsors here. Name Yeshua Yochum Ben Shadel. And tell us get the Chaya, tell us very good. Okay. The Yankov Shulman again. Huh? Not for the last day. Also, the nations done by the blue with this Regalari. I was told this is not right. Perfect. All right. Yeah, Mashma Adam. Please. Okay, Chodesh Elul. Okay, so they got the Zoe. Yimei Chodesh Elul Nekrum, Yimei Rachman Varatzen. Hashem Shem Esgal Ben Rachman Gedol and Veribim. V'chein Nisoyer Ben Ratzen Shalaboy Yisrael. They love and my Ratzen. I'm just learning a piece from the Eshem Adam in there. They love my Ratzen Azeh Shem Esgal Ben Chodesh Elul. What is this? So the Elul is called Yimei Ratzen Varatzen. Yimei Rachman Varatzen. What is Rachman Varatzen? Yesh lagen kin het Gilles Abriya hoist begodes tussen. De veld is beschaffen worden godes tussen. Bamarim zal. Het is er niet roodem. En tussen is de veld geworden beschaffen. De Moshe Amr met Zayam Gilles Masega. Deze is de toek van de onheim van Dana Masen. Oilem Asiya. Asiya started happening in godes tussen. Baaklali ki kol mukem shat moitze Masa chayv li shekot melekach ratzen. Wherever you're going to find a masa, has to be that there is coding even a ratzen. Okay? You guys are listening? What is he saying? He's saying that if you want to know, okay, fine. If you want to know why you are not successful, why you are not hitting the spot, is because your mindset, you're doing, is not aligned with your desire. In order for you to be properly aligned, and you want to be powerful, and you have to be aligned with your desire. If you're doing stuff from your head, you're going to burn out, and you're going to do the wrong thing. I mean, do this. Okay, fine. There's no such thing as a mindset without Ratzon and Machshava. So it's Ma'aseh Machshava Tchila. The end result, when the house is completed, it was a Machshava first. You have to think about it. Everything you see, somebody thought about this first before this was put into place. The Kivin Shebechodesh Tisher Nivra Olam B'Maisa, the Baal Chodesh Tisher is B'Shach Mon Devel B'Maisa, Aleph Tisher, Nimmt Shekoyden Lechem B'Chodesh Elul, Allah Ratzon Eitz Laboris V'Lech Likra Es Olam. Yeah, no, 1 second. I'm trying to remember if you asked me that. Who's humming? Yeah, no harm. All right. It's a leaking valve.
What?
It's a leaking valve.
Yeah,
I know, just training. We're teaching how to be aligned. Okay, so exactly. Now, I don't remember if it was him or somebody else. Anyways, the bottom line is it has to be, in order for there to be success, there has to be Ratzon. You have to align yourself with your desire. You have to find it in your bones. We're going through a process now of awakening the Atzmas, the Atzamas, the bones. You have to feel it in the bone dry. Who am I? When I hit this, what sound does it make? When you hit the glass, what sound does it make? When I'm being hit, what sound does it make? What do I want? You have to tune into, we have to stop being stuck in our heads and doing things just because that's what I do without thinking. That's not being mindful. If I'm not being mindful, I'm going to be spinned and pulled down into Tohem Rabbah.
really good. And for the fact,
the mind can't communicate with the reason. Yes.
The higher they like.
Correct.
Higher.
The root is the desire. Yeah. The root is the desire.
The desire comes.
Very good. Yeah, they're all of them machshava. Yeah. But
in order to be a desire, it has to be.
No, but us it's machshava. Yeah. All of them machshava. Yeah, but all of them machshava can also come. There has to first be the ratzon. There's first like this, like I want something, and then comes the machshava. Now, if my machshava, if the oisius in my machshava are not clear, if I'm a confused, situation, then my ratzon, my desire, is going to be put into a place in the wrong letters. I may end up doing something completely wrong because I have a drive, a chabad desire, and because I've been abused, so instead of going and putting this desire into something positive, I'm going to put it into something not positive. I'm going to do something stupid. Correct. Yes. That's why you're training, when you're doing Torah and you're learning, that's the oisius that's going to take you out so your desire can be aligned with the positive ratzon, with the positive mashal. So your ratzon can be acted out in a positive way. That's why we learn Torah. That's what we said before. Learning is the ladder that takes you out from the spin. It's going to align that you can find it. Right now you have a moving missile. It's your ratzon. I want. And the oisius are there from whatever abuse you've been through. That's where you're parking your ratzon. You're parking it in your in your desire is being parked in the wrong machshava, because I'm corrupted. But if I clean my machshava by learning Torah, or by mindfulness and whatever it is that you're doing, but Torah is key, then the ratzon is going to be aligned properly. And you're not going to have to dig. It's automatic. I feel a ratzon, I know I want to do something positive. This is what we're tapping into Chodesh Elul. What? Listen, Kaveh Itam Torah is anything. Whatever level you're at. You want to do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then with Torah you're cleaning your machshava, which means that I have a desire, I have a yearning for something, and right now it can be food, it can be, something completely low frequency, because anything, yeah. Listen, 5 minute Torah is 5 minute Torah. Just let's put it like this way. One cigarette is something, it's a cigarette. One coffee, he drinks 10 coffees, he drinks one coffee, but you're drinking a coffee, you have the caffeine in it. 5 minutes Torah is a cigarette. Let's play the same game that they're playing. Really, you're going to do 5 minutes Torah? And this is okay? So to whatever it is, to surf the web for 5 minutes, and whatever I download over there, and that can ruin me for a week. I can walk around spinning on it, and hear 5 minutes Torah not. So let's play fair. If I'm going to judge myself this way, if one is judging himself negatively when he does something for one time, and it's haunting you and you can't get over yourself, can't forgive yourself. I failed. 1 minute. So here you do 5 minutes Torah, and don't forgive yourself on that either. The end Maisa is first in the machshava. My doing, I had to first think about before I brought this cup. Because Chodesh Tisha is B'Shafim one b'Maisa. Exactly, we're getting to that. Good question. Nimtza shekodim lechen b'Chodesh Elul. Kim told us father in Chodesh Elul. Allah ratzon etz laboyres varach livres oilam. So in Chodesh Elul is Allah. He wanted to check in that. No, he wanted to check in the show that he's listening. Well, you can have roots without machshava. An animal doesn't have machshava. He has a roots. When you see instinct, and you see him chasing something, there's no machshava there. He's not turning back. He's gone. You can have a machshava without it. Yeah, you can just sit and lay in bed and your mind is running. Yeah, so true. So that's why nothing will come of it. Just sitting idle, wasting time. It's burning fuel. So now, just to, I want to give you a little bit of an idea over here. What does it mean, Allah beratzon? So it's just a question, right? If there's no time in space, if there's no time, the whole time thing only starts in Malchus. Okay? Before Malchus, there is no time. Higher than Malchus, there's the Esser spheres. Higher than Malchus, everything is just light. You can be in one square. You can have everything. Right? You don't need this whole monstrosity. Everything came down in the Har Sinai. It didn't come with this whole Kol the Mamadaka. It came down. It doesn't have to. You can show up in one pinpoint. You can have 1 second of clarity, and you're out. You don't need the whole monstrosity. It's only the ego that needs. I need massive change. I need A, B, C, D, and F in order for me to have change in my life. No, you need 1 second. A little bit of water melts the coffee. You don't need a whole ocean of water. So, if there's no time and space, what do you mean Allah Mashal? When did it start? Why then? Why did it start then? If there's no backwards, no forward, and only now. I'll leave you with that. So when you lay in bed without a rush and just a machshava.
I'll leave you with that.
Okay. But if we do that, then we may just stop right there. Okay, so we'll do it quick, just so you have give a little. I know that was my question when I was a child. I got a patch for it. It was another curse of okay. Exactly, it sent me flying. Okay, so the part of the Zoe. There taka is no, everything is all of the machshava means that within the zach alein it contains everything. Within boyd alein everything is there. But after, for us to be, everything is in one dot. Everything is in one nakuda. In the Chodesh Elul, everything is in one dot. Everything is happening from the beginning to end. Everything is in one dot. So you have one side of the coin and the other side of the coin. One side of the coin is kesed. Now again, even if you don't understand it, just you have to hear it one time the first time, and eventually you'll hear it here. They start picking it up. You have two sides of the coin. One side of the coin is kesed, and the other side of the coin is malchus. Kesed, there is no language for it. It's completely choshev. There's no past. Everything is the melech sits with himself. In malchus is where, in order for us to understand what's happening in this dot, it stretches out 6,000 years. It's like a slinky. You know the slinky, the thing you go back and forth. Everything is like this, and once you open it, it goes all the way down, and then it's going to jump back. So we're going all the way down. It's opening up 6,000 years. And then at the end of that, that's the midas are playing out. And then it's going to jump back, and we're going to be Malchus is going to meet Kesser once again, but with the knowledge that we have now. Because in order for me to, in order for us to see it, you have to open it. In order for us to see what's going on, I have everything. I have a song in my head. Okay, it's all here. But in order for it to open up, it has to be played. You open it up. And imagine if I didn't have time, and everything was just right here, what would my song sound like? If you didn't... One second. If you didn't have... If it was just a thought, and I didn't have time, if when I spoke, if there was no time and space, then my words right now are traveling, right? I say 1, 2, 3, 4. By the time I say 1, and before I say 2, there was enough time for 1 to hit your ears, and then I say 2, and then 3. And so it goes with the eye, with the vision. I'm able to, there is enough, it takes milliseconds or whatever it is for me to see this, and for you to see, to communicate to see. But imagine if there is no time, and everything was just, if you pull out this card, this illusion of time, what happens? Just back into a dot. Then feel it? Can you see it? Yeah? Yeah? If you pull out the illusion. Now, this illusion was created so we can start building, so we can start forming energy, we can start forming life to take in the texture of what's happening within our bodies, internally. To become like pouring in a drop of grape juice in the water. It like starts taking on a new color. You can't change it, but I can put a little drop in there to start changing the color, changing it so it becomes a part of it. The whole training that we are going through right now is just to become internal, to become the texture of the Eibishter, so we can start speaking his language.
Put it out.
What's that?
Put it out.
Yeah, and the illusion is being pulled out slowly. That's exactly what's happening right now. Although, like in the through, we're going to talk about this, but this is exactly what's happening right now. In this time, that it's starting to melt away. The separation is starting to melt away. The illusion of separation is starting to melt away. So we can start becoming more in touch with, this is really who I am. This is what I am, not that. This whole, I'm being pushed to, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, my life is not good. So I'm being pressed to the point where I'm like, I'm happy with what I have. That's just a muscle. But really what it is it's pushing us so we can wake up to the texture that we really are. once we're going to flush out all the garbage from the system, and this is exactly what's happening right now. So all your problems that you're going through is just here to push you so you can find the real texture of who you are. Now, so Chodesh Elul, Allah Ratzon, I think we have to tie this into this. Fine. So let's go over that for a second. So everything that is going to happen on Tishrei was all about Machshav and Elul. Yes. All about Machshav. Good. Listen to this. We need B'chari Yisrael, right? We did this many times. All about Machshava means that there was a child is a tipa moicha av. Right? The father has a thought. It's a ruchnis v'gezach, not a physical thing. Exactly. Not in this way. One second. He has one dot of DNA, goes down, the spine goes into Bina, and from there it cooks, and then Toif Matzah Machshavat Tchila. The end result, this child, it was the Machshavat Tchila. 10 years later, the child was 10 years, 20 years. That right now, no, that was all of the Machshavat then. And now you see it 50 years. So too, 6,000 years is one drop from Tehirah, from top level of Tipas Moicha Av. One drop was dropped into Bina, into the Hay, the Yud, the Chodesh Elul, which was the Kesher, went into the Yud, which was the Chochmah, which is the father's Chochmah. That Tipa Moicha Av is a Chochmah moment, because Chochmah you can't process. Koyach Ma'at, completely surrendered. Goes into Bina, to the Hay. From there it goes into the Vav, which is the 6 midas, which is everything you're dealing with, my nose, my yeses, and my this, that. And from there it goes into Malchus, which is the last Hay. Malchus is, we are Malchus. Knesset Yisrael is Malchus. Malchus is also Peh. Malchus gives us this carve out. Imagine you have this fabric, a plastic. You put a plastic over your face, and then you cut out the mouth, and you're able to speak. This is a plastic. The last Hay gives us a cut in the plastic, so we're able to speak. Expression, the speech, expression. All the other brias and veld have mouths. The animal can't speak. It can just make a sound. A goy can speak, but still not speaking anything that can do any real damage. A yid can speak and it can create. A yid can speak and create. So that Tipas Moicha Av was, we are from that Tipas Moicha Av. We are that Tipas. We are, but the game is not over yet. We still have another 100 and something years to go to the end game. So we're going to see the real Olav Machshava, like what he had in mind for real. This is the Oyer Haratzon, which is that's shining in this month. So, okay, fine. So, okay, this is where we're going with this. So, one second. We are jumping ahead. What do you think we're doing? Way ahead. But it's not that ahead, because I'll tell you why. Because once you expose it, once you see it, listen to the whole rest. Not the light, the films. Once you see it, that's what we spoke about before. Once you see it for yourself, when you see the truth, nothing can get in the way of that truth. This truth is the highest vibration. I can come in there and be selling us. Somebody can come and tell a story, a lie. It's a schwach. But when you come with the truth, you come in with the feskad. No, I'm not budging. This is it. This is my truth. I'm not doing it. I will not go. Especially if you're healthy enough and it's your truth and you're connected with your true desire. See this message. I'm not just that. One second. Stop. Let's just say that you finally found the truth. Okay? Let's say that you finally hit it. Okay? 1 second. I want to give you the point. You said something good before. You said I want to first answer that. Now, once you find your truth, because you're asking if we're ahead, can we jump ahead? So I said we're way ahead. So I said not so much because people are going to get like, oh, so we're that much ahead, we can take time. No. So that's pushing. Listen, if I found my truth, my surrounding, if I come with my truth, my surrounding around me has to follow that truth. I'm not going to surrender to that because this is my truth. And if I'm fest with my truth, it's connected to my Ratzon, I'm not going to budge. Now, this is what when you're laying the tracks down over here, even though you're ahead of time, but if you show up with that, automatically you start melting away the surroundings. So that's why you got to check it. With the real roots, and what do you want? So that's the work you're doing. Thank you. That is exactly, you're untangling the self. We're untying ourselves. 10 years ago I thought my biggest roots was to be a multimillionaire. Okay? 10 years before that, it was what? To have the nicest car. And then before that, what's that? Finite?
Fireman.
Yeah, be a fireman, exactly. Be a fireman. That was so that's what we keep doing. We keep digging and digging for my roots. And no, that's also not enough. Okay, yeah, this is my roots, and now I want more of that roots. Now I want more of that. That's what we're doing. That's what we call fighters, frontline fighters, which is demanding, like like I want more. No, it's Mechail al Choil. We keep going levels. Even tzaddikim are not coming anything. Yeah, but good. Fine, but true. Yeah, so we go through different phases. What was also, that doesn't mean that it was false. What was important to me last year was what I had to do last year in order to get to this year. So that's also, you have to switch that mindset of thinking like slaves. I'm such an idiot. You didn't waste any time. There was a process to get to this place. You have to lay the bricks, and different buildings have different bricks. If I knew that then I wouldn't have gone into this business. No, you have to go into that business to know now what you know now, to be where you are right now. Maybe or maybe not. Maybe again, it keeps going. But tough stuff. We are told that we are getting to the end. We're at the end. It's a climb. There's something today. There's something said today. How do we know that we're at the bottom? Yeah, I know that. Got this. No. Okay. So in Elul, you can tap into your true Ratzon, your true desire, to see what's really, what you really want. Why? Why and how? Because there is Yidgim Medasachim that are activated in Chodesh Elul. Therefore, all my other blockages, my nechoishes, my copper separations, my kesef separations that are in the way of me seeing clearly. In other words, my avoida, my refinement, the way I reach to my conclusion of what's important to me is through different separations, through different blockages. But because Chodesh Elul, there's massive oil, massive shefa from Yidgim and Midasarachim, so therefore I can see clear. I can get in touch with my true roots and my true desire of what I really want. Every year, it's a schachas of the Bria in Chodesh Tisha, and there's a new hashpa of new life, new chayas, for the whole year. Okay, b'chodesh Elul misnoites haratzon elyon, and in chodesh Elul the ratzon elyon is misnoites kivyachol livres olam. In other words, it's done itself. It refires itself. It reignites itself. It triggers itself. It triggers itself to be machadash the world again. Livres olam is b'shvil Yisrael. Listen to this, Eli. You want to hear this? We're almost done. Livres olam is b'shvil Yisrael. because you're a frontline fighter. You need to know this. Because you're going to ask the famous question somebody's going to ask, and you're not going to have the answer. Really, the world was created for the Yidden? And how about if we don't daven? You tell me if I don't do ABC, the world is not going to be created. The world is going on perfectly fine. So let me answer that question so you know what the answer is. What they're going to ask you. He's triggering himself, so to speak, to create the world, the cause of the Yidden, which is first, in other words, when, so to speak, Eibishter wanted to align himself with his true Ratzon, when he had a Ratzon, and it's like, what was that Ratzon? What is that Ratzon? What his real Ratzon, the rawest Ratzon was for us, for Yidden. Something called Nesh the Yidden, that I should have ABC in that. This level of consciousness to be enveloped. For this level of consciousness to be enveloped, we are the first thought. Now, the world, What didn't happen? It's happening. Well, it's happening right now. It's so we're playing it out. What did he do? No. Yes. Correct. Because there's still Chazarai. Good. Now, hold on one second. I want to answer this. It wasn't fully activated. It was, but not fully. Because there was still this that was still on the bottom. Remember something. As we were doing the bitter back then, and Besamig, so to speak, selfishly, because we were basking in the glory, there was light. So the Shemen is on top. The more Shemen was on top, what happened to the garbage? Kept falling down. Kept going. 1 second. It kept falling down. Yes, good. It keeps falling down. So as there's Yedidus Adoris, we come down lower, and we're still sticking our head up. It's almost like we're pushing the economy, the budget for the next generation. We're going to rack up a bill, and in 40 years they'll figure it out. The buildings, the kids are going to figure it out. So that's what happened. Like, pardon is Giddu, so to speak. Okay. And as we kept burning fuel, now we're down at the bottom. Here is the ganze Ungleichnis, the ganze Chazara. We are right now in that soup. That's why when Moshe gesehen, the Dorish Mashiach, and they're going to schwach in the feet, how are they going to make it? They got nothing going on over there. It's bone dry. Cars and Rolexes, like what, and steak. What are we doing? How are we getting out of this? What's going to take him out? Vodka? What's going to take him out? One second. Stop. 1 second. Stop. So it's right here. Okay. The answer is in. What is it? Which one? It's Amuna. But what did he see? Was it a Gazain? Amina? A Gazain, the kids been something. A Gazain Amina? A Gazain in the Tmim or something. We'll find it. No, it's simply it's just skip my mind. Okay. Exactly. So what's what to the point is like this, that right now where everything is at the bottom. So you need to understand that the struggle that you're dealing with, okay, stop being like a chamor. My life, I have weaknesses. You have no weaknesses. You're very strong. You are the pilot of the plane. There's baggage in the back. And you're here, we're at the bottom. We're cleaning it up like a vacuum cleaner. And as you become aware, as you become aware, you're melting away the fat. You're burning the fat. That's the mizbeach. You're burning the fat. That's everybody, his heart is a mizbeach. As I'm getting fat on the heart and my body, I'm having temptations and I'm having desires and I'm having all types of stuff going on. I'm bringing awareness to it and I'm burning that away. I'm clearing the path. I'm clearing the way. And this is how we lay down the tracks. Now, his true desire was all of Moshe for Klal Yisrael, for us. In Chodesh Elul, we can tap into the true desire. We can tap into the true desire. Now, to answer the question, what if we don't do the work? What's going to happen? If I don't do my Chodesh Elul work, if I don't do my Tishrei work, what happens? What happens is that the Welt is not going to be Chodesh. One second. I'm taking questions in a minute. The Welt is going to continue being the same way, but it's going to be like an empty Glock. You got the Klapman couple there in the places. There's nothing going. We have to bring in the light. We have to download the light in here. The buildings are going to stay buildings. Nothing is going to be Charav and Echer because he gave a shua. He gave a promise. Now, remember also there's the 36 and 36, the Lamed Vav Tzadikim, that they are holding the world down regardless. That's proper manifestation of Atzmas and Mahus and Bel. They're holding it down. But we're gonna feel the pinch. So it's your obligation to bring light into, for the next 30 days, to start bringing in light, not to overstressing yourself, just being happy. We're going to do it over the next, we have enough time to prepare. There's 4 weeks starting from next week. So Bezrat Hashem, we'll do the Shirim, we'll do probably Fabrengen next week. Fabrengen, Shir, Muncie, yes. It was almost there. It was almost going to be there this week, but I couldn't go to Muncie today. So next week, Bezrat Hashem, we're going to go in. I think I encourage that the women should come. And we're going to open it up also in a different way. I know there was some complaints that we were sitting by the table and they were sitting the Chit Machna. But I didn't hold it, but I didn't feel comfortable. But now we're going to have the men and we're going to have the women sitting close to the table. It's going to be open. And I think it's important for everybody to be aligned on the same page. No, we'll do something bigger. Or you ask questions. Whoever, we'll see where it goes. Whoever wants to offer a space, they're welcome. Now, what was your question? Yeah, no question. This is good. What was your question? No question. Okay. Nice. Yes. Yes. You're saying Bechlal? You're saying Bechlal?
There's something different. I thought it's just a way to get it.
Is there something saying, hold on a second, it's a different in different human so let me ask a question. Difference between day Yontif and the next day Yontif, or difference between higher Elul and 10 years to the government? Okay, so the business between day Yontif and Yan Yontif? Okay, every Yontif has a different way, the way you enter the door. Every season, every time, sometimes you go through the door, you kick the door down, sometimes you jump and you parachute in, and sometimes you just mesh yourself in, you become one with the fabric. Elul is a time we become one with the fabric. We walk right through. We go through the fabric. We become softer, translucent, go right through the fabric. That's Elul. Pesach is like it's like an F-15 landing in your head. Like, and then it pulls out, and then you're dealing with it over Sphira. Elul is Melech Basada. Pesach is Shikta Mizl, Makas Bechodes, 4 cups of wine, matzah. It's wild. It's Labor Day. It's a month of Nisim. Now it's more of we're becoming one with it. It's B'riyas Olam. It's recreating. You're tapping into your desire. You're tapping into your true. You have 30 days to find your true ratzon, your true desire, and then you can make that. Well, B'riyas Olam, you can bring it into Tishrei. You're bringing in your desire into your creation. Whatever your desire you're going to create. Be careful.
Brown, how they can find it. But their response is,
yeah. You do that too, true, but yeah, well, wanted to give him some. Yeah, you're good. So go ahead, ask him. You don't need to answer. You can feel it. Okay. Feel the difference between Hanukkah. Feel the difference between Hanukkah and now.
but
Yes.
That's what I have. Not it.
Can you feel this with the Hanukkah now? Right. As we end up with Moshe. Just discussing your profile and your file. Don't worry, we're working on it. But it's our file. All right. I didn't bring the guitar. I didn't bring. I forgot it. Should I? No, I never forget. I just I had a long night. Sure. So I was speaking in the car actually. Which one? No, I was speaking in the car. In the front, in the back, right in the front. Yeah, the Mata left, right in the front. The andere car, the gray car. No, something, but I think I said it. We're dropping down. Weisz, no, but I can't remember. It's going to come to me. Something just a copy. I think it was 2 days ago. Just the imagery, basically, that everything drops down to the bottom. In other words, when you're high up there, you leave the garbage. You deal with the garbage tomorrow. You just keep taking out that too, sure. Yeah, what am I getting?